We are back for another podcast. With us, we have Mick Griffin, startup guru, who has been living in Poland for a good 15 years now. And we'll discuss the similarities and differences between Poles and the UK, but also, I guess, Western Europe and Eastern Europe. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We started discussing a little bit before here about how different of a society Poland was a good 15 years ago. It does feel like a lot has changed in not that many years. Would you agree with that?
I mean, absolutely. I think I came 15 years ago straight into Trójmiasto, into Gdynia, and I've lived there ever since. And I still think that probably 5 years before I came, there was even another dramatic shift. But I mean, the speed of change is rapid for me. I feel it, and I remember when I came, it was the flow of the big first EU Grands. Poland was one of the big receivers. We had the football tournament we talked to Euro 2012, and a
lot of highways being built back then, infrastructure in general.
Trains, highways, exactly, and obviously the more and more people from different cultures coming into Poland now. Finally, like we laugh about 15 years ago, you were one of one, sometimes one of five in a little city. And now it's nothing new to hear English on the street or various different languages.
Yeah, there was a time when you could impress some locals by speaking English. Unfortunately, now it's a little bit harder.
Definitely.
But also the economy in general, if you look at your average smaller city back in the day with 100,000 or 50,000 inhabitants, you would really feel that this could be somewhere behind the Ural Mountains. It could be some very far away. Now, even when you go to smaller cities, you feel that you're in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the days of going and going somewhere and it being unusual, you'd get a bargain. Some things were even lower cost. It was definitely, like you said, it was like going in a time machine. And yeah, I mean, everything has culturalized those barriers of kind of, and of course, I think also, my opinion is that some of those smaller cities are struggling now, because of the pull of the big metropolitan districts and so on, the pull of the universities. Probably all of us have a family member or a friend who's from a small town, and I visit them from time to time, and they are lacking that youthfulness as well. But I also think that there's a chance it will go full cycle, because the costs of big cities usually tend to push people back towards the smaller places.
It feels like it started a little bit during the pandemic, that a lot of the people who had moved to Wrocław or Warsaw to work in some corporation, they took the opportunity and started working back from home. And then sometimes they never came back, really. So,
yes.
But also when it comes to these smaller cities and in general the Polish countryside, after I moved to Poland a good 12 years ago, I basically got stuck in Warsaw, and I've been sitting here. I went to Krakow a few times to the Three City, but there's a ton of places around the country that I've never visited and I haven't seen. But I heard that you recently went on quite a tour around Poland, and you got to see more of it.
Yes.
How would you describe this tour?
Yeah, I mean, like similar to you, I came to Poland, and I was here for probably 7-8 years, and I kind of had that look back and go, wait, I haven't seen any of it. I've been to the US before, more than I've been around Poland, and also it was unlocked by, first of all, yes, getting to the cities, Krakow, Wrocław, Poznan, and going to see the cities, and of course you could be excused for thinking that there was a lot of similarities, an old town, a square, beautiful, historic. But then the let's call it the tour of Poland that happened over a number of, like, let's say the 3 or 4 years with a couple of my English friends, we started to get between the cities, and we started to go to points of interest, points of historical interest, and that's when it opened the eyes to the unbelievable history in that even learning about still today, let's say.
If you would choose one of these places, if we talk about the beauty of the landscape and so on, what would you say is your favorite part of Poland? Because there is this debate going around between the mountains in the south, the Lake District in the north, northeast, or the coastline in the north in general. Where would you prefer to go?
I mean, even though I would say that you always take for granted what you have, right? So I've lived in Gdynia for 15 years, and there was moments in time where you realised that a whole 12 months went by and you went to the beach twice. However, fundamentally, the beaches alone are some of the most prettiest, I would say, because they are not being overly abused, I would say. But without question, when I'm at the seaside, I'm missing the mountain. I mean, as much as I think places like Zakopane are a little bit tough now with being so commercialized, the views, the hiking and stuff, I've always got a lot of time for them. I think they're stunning. And yeah, you said it yourself. You got Mazori and so on, which is also a very, very amazing place to visit. And still, the mountains and the ranges on the south of Wrocław, I think, are also they have a prettiness to them because they are not exposed peaks, but just that those are those places, like you said, like this. It's really hard in Poland to go and find that little feeling of going back in time and being a little bit more historical, and those places give it. So I think that the favour, I'd have to still say that I still am shocked how much of a hidden gem I would say the likes of Trymiasto beaches are, and all along that coastway all the way to Szczecin. I think that only the clock is ticking before this is the place that people are flocking to.
Yeah, there are so many other places in Europe, whether it's Barcelona, Venice, or any of these other places that are just getting so cramped now that people are sooner or later going to start to look for options. If we look at the UK, I've been to London twice, but I've never seen the rest of the country. But one of the differences, I guess, is that at least England, I mean, in Scotland probably, you have some untouched nature and, wilderness, so to say. But in England, you have so many people on quite a small strip of land. Would you say that there was somewhat of a similarity or a difference when you came to Poland? Did it feel like it was maybe a little bit not as congested, so to say?
I think it's a great question because I think the fact is that in the UK, yes, there are there's the Lake District. I was there recently. London, I was there recently, and I love even places like Edinburgh, but they are almost accessible to everybody. Now, what I think is different in Poland, like I was talking about recently, is there are places like, for example, I went to a very historical site a couple of years ago, which is the Wolf's Lair, which is in the northeast of Poland, which is from the famous film Valkyrie, and very historical. And I was shocked that I got there and I was probably one of 5 people. But that is just also because I think in Poland, people are not. There isn't that. I think in the UK we have a little bit of that kind of impatience that we wake up every weekend and we've got to be entertained.
Yeah.
And in Poland we're not there yet. There's not that urge to go there, and there's not that. But on the flip side, I mean, I feel like Trymiasto or the entire coast of Poland in July and August, when people do think it's time to travel. Yeah. It's almost a little bit unbearable. It's really hyper crowded. So Poland is a little bit more predictable. You go somewhere on a Wednesday instead of a Saturday, you get in the place yourself. In the UK, there are these places, these businesses are built, these tourism places are built to attract people every single day, and they do a very good job of it. So I think it's just that the UK is a little bit more expectant of having places to go, and the places are way better at tourism marketing.
And probably also international tourism is on a completely different level. You have people coming from all across the world, East Asia, the Gulf, the US, wherever.
Yeah, and also, even weird things like public transport and so on. I was talking on a podcast even today about like how many of these historical sites in Poland that you literally think you're going the wrong way. You're driving into a forest on a 1-lane, road, and you're like, this has to be wrong. It has to be wrong. And then you finally pull up, and there's an amazing thing and an area to see. But also, the beautiful side of Poland, which I'm so happy it's holding on to. I mean, I was in London a month ago with my wife and my 2 kids. Everything was also, of course, it was basically £100. Whatever we were doing, a museum, a London Eye, etc. Yeah. And still, luckily, right now in Poland, you can go and have a phenomenal day, and the places are charging you 20 zlotys per person, and so on. So, I have a lot of friends in the UK who are like, we like doing stuff, but my goodness, it's such a financial commitment to have a day out with the family.
Yeah. When I was 18, 19, me and some friends would come to Poland for the weekend to party around because we figured that flying here and getting a cheap hostel would be cheaper than going out 2 nights in a row back home.